at 9 o'clock. I want to thank everybody for attending. My name's Jameson Mackay. I'm with Gulf Coast Educators Federal Credit Union. I'm our Chief Relationship Officer. We decided that one way we could give back to the education community, which we proudly serve all over Texas, is to present a speaker series. And since this is Principals Month, we found it so fitting to invite our guest speaker today to present to you. Again, if you have colleagues that were unable to join the register for the webinar, they can go over to our Facebook page and view the live stream. Without further ado, I'll turn it over to Principal Kafele and jump right into the presentation. Thank you so much.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Good to be with you virtually this morning. You down there, I just assume it was a nice day, but your day is probably not any different from mine out here, where it's kind of cloudy and rainy and all that kind of good stuff. But the good thing is I'm still on fire and ready to talk a little school leadership with all of you this morning. So, with us being almost at the conclusion of October and thereby the conclusion of National Principals Month, I just want to say that remind you guys that you guys matter. I think that the majority of the audience today are principals, and you guys matter exponentially. You know that. But sometimes we need a reminder, because the work can be just so overwhelming, so challenging, so many pressures, so many demands on us to be effective. And when I say demands, I don't mean necessarily external demands, but just the demands that we place upon ourselves to be effective in the work that we do. I was a principal for 14 years here in Jersey. And I still remember vividly the zeal I had to become one when I was in the classroom teaching. I did not go into teaching with any inkling that I would become a principal one day. That just wasn't on my radar. It wasn't one of my aspirations. It wasn't something that I looked forward to doing. I thought I was going to be a lifelong teacher and a speaker. And about 3 years in, I said, I was having success. In my fourth year, I was named the Teacher of the Year of building level, district-wide, county-wide, and then finalist for New Jersey State Teacher of the Year. So I was doing well early on, but I got this itch to become a principal. I felt like everything I was doing in the classroom, I could do at the building level if given the opportunity to do so. So I was hungry. I positioned myself strategically so that I could get hired. And ultimately I did, as an AP and then a principal, as the youngest AP in the district, the youngest principal in the district. And we did some things, but I would never say that it was easy work. I would say it was fun work, because, anytime you're living in your passion, you're walking in your passion. And hear me, somebody out there, when you have determined your life's passion, and you have determined your life's purpose, and you've positioned yourself to actually walk in it, man, you couldn't ask for a better life, professionally speaking. Personal is personal, but in terms of the professional side, you couldn't ask for a better life, to be able to wake up in the morning and literally walk in your passion, to literally walk in your purpose. So I may ask you guys now generically, just rhetorically, are you walking in your passion? Are you walking in your purpose? Is that what this is? And I know that some of you out there are not so. I know that this is not solely a principal audience, but there's some other folks in the other capacities of leadership as well. So whatever the capacity of leadership that you serve, I'm asking you, are you walking in your passion? Is this your thing, right? Are you walking in your purpose? And if so, what have you done to bring yourself closer and closer and closer to self-actualization relative to performance, right? So here I was this principle and trying to figure it out early on. And as time went on, you know, with experience comes wisdom. And as time went on, and I started figuring some things out, and particularly figuring out that good leadership means that I got leaders throughout the building. It's not just me, right? But I've empowered others. I've distributed leadership throughout a building. That's when we get it done at a high level, right? So I'm saying all that to say, again, National Principals Month. Salute to all of you. I need to turn off my email. Y'all stand by for a hot second, because that's going to be ringing all day. So here we go. Quit. All right. So I'm saying here that keep in mind that as we go through the month, the success or the failure or just the mediocrity of your school is hinged on your leadership. Just, you know, never lose sight of that. It's you. And it's always interesting every now and then, and I've written this in a book or two. A principal will say to me when I'm on location, they'll say, yeah, I'm with you, Principal Kafele. But, you know, when you say the school success is hinged on me, I don't know if I can own that. I've heard that several times. Principal will say, you know, my staff, they're getting it done. My staff, they're operating at a high level. My staff, the camaraderie between them, right? My staff, the synergy between them. My staff, they roll up their sleeves, they go the extra mile, they love being in the building, they love the work, they love the children, etc. I've heard that. And I say, okay, Principal, I tell you what, I hear you. But let's do this. I say, Principal, walk with me on this one. Let's take your staff and let's airlift them and put them in another building. Let's put them in a building of staff, of a principal that's the antithesis of you. So in other words, you're somebody that allows them to grow. You're someone that allows them to be independent. My phone is buzzing so much, I just want to make sure it's not an emergency. You're someone that allows them to be independent, and you're someone that they want to be around, they want to be in the building, they want to work in that school. So now I say, let's airlift them, put them in a place that's the total opposite of what you have structured in that building. And I ask you, Principal, you think they're going to have the same camaraderie? You think they're going to be as excited about coming to school every day? You think they're going to be as energetic about coming to school? You think they're going to be as enthusiastic about coming to school in this other environment with this other principal that is so standoffish, that may be so oppressive, that so detached, right? So authoritarian? You think they're still going to bring that same level of energy? And the principal says, "Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah." I said, Principal, I don't mean in terms of you being highly visible and being that one man, one woman operation, but I mean the way that you lead that empowers everybody else on the staff, that empowers the children, that empowers the parents, that empowers the community. That matters. See, that matters. So I'm saying that to say, or I'm saying all of that to say this. Y'all got a long haul ahead of you. It's only October. It's October in the midst of a global pandemic. It's October in the midst of some politics that are a little different from what we're accustomed to right now, right? If I could be frank. But yet and still, and I might say, your leadership in the midst of social change. Can't forget that. So despite that, you still got to be strong. See, you still got to walk with your head held high. You still have to walk with your shoulders broad. You still have to know that my school is going to be successful because I lead it. See, that's an attitude. That's a mindset. So what I've chosen, Mr. Mackey, give me access to the screen so that I could put my PowerPoint up. right? So
Let's see, share screen.
stand by, folks. We're almost there.
All right, I made you the host, so.
Got it. So what I've decided, the presentation that I decided to show you guys today, I wanted to just talk about, is my school a better school? Because I lead it. Because we have others in the room beyond principals, there's another title that I give this slightly different presentation, same presentation, just encompassing of everybody. So it would be, is my school, my team, my department, my division, my district better? Because I lead it. So here, I think most of you are principals. So I will keep in mind that there are others on this call as well. So let's look at this question. And it's interesting because the question is so profound. Some of you probably have, some of you I'm sure are aware of the book of the same title if you don't have the book. But this was personal. Some of the books I write, they're personal. And this one was personal because this was a ritual for me. Every day, I'd be outside at the front entrance and I would greet every student in the morning as they arrived at school. And when I was with the lower grades, then their parents, as they pulled up and dropped their children off, then I'd greet them too. So it was a strict ritual of mine that if you're my student, you're not coming into the building until you and I have had some kind of contact. That was just something. It wasn't something I learned somewhere. It wasn't something that I did any research on. It was just one of those things that just made common sense to me, that if you're my student, I need to greet you, right? So I decided from day one, I'm gonna stand at that front entrance or that front sidewalk, and I'm going to greet you. Now, of course, this was before social distancing, so I'm not going to just say hello. We're going to shake hands or hug or embrace, whatever it was. And I get the laws about touching young people, but it was out in the open. Everyone knew it. The superintendent knew it. The mayor knew it. Everybody knew it. This is what I do. So, and the parents knew. So it was all good. It was all good. Everybody knew I had the best interest of them children at heart because I lived and breathed for those children. So we greet. And I always say, one of the reasons that I would do that, there are many reasons, but one I want to share here with the time we have is because it allowed me to look into the children's eyes. And I learned that the children, they carry a newspaper with them. Their newspaper to their lives is right here. And if they're upbeat, you'll know it. If things are not going well, you'll know it. If they're not themselves, you'll know it. But you got to position yourself to read the newspaper. And see, there's some of us in this business, we don't read that paper. In fact, let me say it differently. We don't receive the paper. We don't get the paper. Like back in the old days, you had the paper boy, and which I was one for a long time. And paper boy would deliver the newspaper. Well, you get the newspaper, and now it's up to you if you're going to read it. But some people say, I don't get the paper, right? Well, when I thought about that as a principal back into my younger days, I said, man, some principals don't get the paper in the morning. Meaning that the youngsters walk in, but the principal is not out there to greet them. Or if it's multiple entrances, those big schools y'all have in Texas, then those other folks at the other doors. Now, let me talk about who those folks are. I'm not just putting a body at a door, not me. Whomever's at that door, I need some of my most energetic people in the building because that's the student's arrival to school. And I don't know what the past 12 hours, whatever it is, I don't know what they were. So I got to make sure that whatever life was outside of school, that when youngster arrives to school, youngster knows I got a new start. I got a new beginning. And we're going to start this thing off positive. I'm going to have somebody energetic at that door, right? someone like myself that's going to make them feel welcome as they walk into that building, right? So now that was that. Then we have then secondly, the morning announcements, which culminated with my morning message. Hey, principal out there watching today, talk to me figuratively speaking, not literally. Talk to me about your morning message. Like, why do you do it? And what's it comprised of? What do you have in there? What kind of thought process do you have toward creating it? Right? What's your intent? What are your objectives? Why bother? Why do you pick up that microphone and give them that thunder in the morning, right? Or do you give them that thunder? Do you pick up that microphone? Do you deliver that message? What tone is being set? See, I did the morning message because, number one, I'm the leader of the building. But beyond that, I can't just have youngsters come in off the street and we start school. Where's the foundation going to be laid? I got to lay a foundation. What's the tone that's going to be set for an entire building? I got to set that tone. I'm the leader. You know, just like a head coach of any sport, football, basketball, baseball, you name it. Nobody's going on the field until the head coach has spoken. Head coach has something to say. It may not be charismatic and hype. It might just be final instructions, final message. But whatever it is, the head coach is not going to allow the team to walk out on the field, the court, the diamond, the ice, whatever it is, without first having given the final words. Well, I'm saying to you, it's the same thing. Are you giving your school the final words before instruction begins? What's your message? So that was that. Now the school day unfolds. We go through the entire day. And then we get to the end of the day, and then hence this title I'm using today. Outside, I say to principals, just as in the morning, I didn't mention, but I'll say it now. In the morning, I say there's only one place on the planet for a principal to be during morning arrival, student arrival in the morning. And that's outside with them. I'll debate that with anybody. There's only one place on the planet Earth for a principal to be during student arrival, and that is outside with the students as they arrive. Not reading email, not having a parent conference. I had to train. Hopefully I'll have time to talk about that. I had to train my parent, let them know I can't have a morning conference with you while the students are walking in the building. And they understood that because I had to train them as to what my role was as principal. I'm not the lead disciplinarian. I'm the instructional leader. So I had to explain that. They didn't know. They based me on their own principles when they were children. So what did they know? They didn't go to school for this like you and I. So I had to train. I can't be in my office with you at 7:30. I got to be outside shaking hands. See, you see how that works? So now it's after school. I'm saying goodbye. You know, matter of fact, I did a closing message. If the bell rang at 3, I'm on the horn at 2:55. And I'm giving them final thoughts. As you leave this afternoon, remember you are representing North Tech. You are representing your principal. You are representing your teachers. You are representing your parents. But most importantly, you are representing yourselves. Do not misrepresent, because I was seeing in different parts of Jersey, young people misrepresenting all of the above. I said, man, let me remind them every day. Folks would come up to me on the street, strangers that I didn't know but knew me because they knew I was the principal of the school. Hey, man, Principal Kafele, we know your students when we see them walking or on public transportation. And I play like I didn't know what they meant. I said, what do you mean? Because they act differently. They walk differently. They behave differently. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, because we trained them right. See, so they didn't misrepresent the building that was producing them. So now all the grounds are clear. Everybody's gone. And now the only one standing is you and I. the principal. That's it. Now, I guess, I presume many of us would just walk back in the building and catch up on the work that we do when the students are not there. Not me. I got a conversation I got to have before I walk into that building and catch up on all that work. And it's a lot of work. Hey, principal out there. Matter of fact, I'm going to make an assumption that there's some new principals on this call, some rookies out there. Let me talk to you, rookie. Let me say this to you real quick. Reading emails, talking to secretaries, and whatever else you could do during the day. You're going to have to transition at some point, because at the core of your responsibility is who you are as instructional leader. That's at your core, right? That's where you are most needed. The purpose of the supervision of your teachers is their continual improvement in instruction. Let me say that again, because you might have missed that. The purpose of your supervision of your staff, your teachers, is their continual improvement in instruction. My mentor during my principal apprenticeship told me that one day. I was a 5th grade teacher, and I never forgot it. He said, everything else is secondary. He said, your students are in that building to learn. And that means your teachers have to be phenomenal. And that's where you come in. See, don't ever forget that. Right. So now the building is clear. The campus is clear. And now I'm out there or you're out there. It's just you in the building. That's it. And I would look at the facade of the building, man. And I would, matter of fact, let me get out of this screen. There's the building. There's one of the schools I led. I would just look at the facade of the building. So I'm standing right there on that sidewalk looking up. And I asked myself the following question. Is that school a better school because I lead it? Is that school a better school because I lead it? We in Jersey, we're in school 180 days. That means I asked myself that question 180 times. 180 times I asked myself, is my school a better school because I lead it? Here's why. Because every day was different. Every day. And in order for my students and my staff to strive to the highest of heights, I knew my leadership mattered. So I would ask myself that question, but I had removed my ego. Hey, principal, you got to remove your ego on this one, because I'm encouraging you to ask yourselves this question every day. But you got to remove your ego, because your ego will give you your ego. There's always the potential of your ego giving you the wrong answer, a false sense of security and hope. So I removed it. Hey, Kafele, is that school a better school because you lead it? Because I lead it? A lot of those days, folks, my answer was an emphatic, definitive no, it is not. Meaning, somebody else could have come here and led this school much more effectively, much more productively than I did. But see, that's me engaging in a self-evaluation. That's me engaging in self-reflection, self-assessment. I can't wait for my superintendent to come over to the school and evaluate me. I've got to evaluate myself in real time. I'm saying to you out there, you've got to evaluate yourself in real time. You can't wait for that instrument. And quite frankly, even though you're waiting for probably a very comprehensive instrument to evaluate you, written by a superintendent or assistant superintendent or whomever does the is your evaluative record, they don't know everything I do. They don't know everything you do, every move you make. The only one that knows everything you do and every move you make is you. That's all. So the question becomes, how serious are you about your own professional growth? See, that's the operative question. How serious are you about your own professional growth and development? See, if you don't care, if you're not that meticulous about your every move, then I'm not relevant in this moment. But if your every move matters in that building, and you want to get better at how you go about your work, then that question you need to ask yourself every day: is my school a better school because I lead it? Now, let me ask you guys a question. You know, if we were face to face in person, I was down there in Houston with you, I would be pushing you guys to literally answer this question to me in real time. We're not doing that now, and I'm not reading chats right now. But I want you to process this. Some of you that may know my work out there, you know that everything I do is self-reflective. So I just want you to process this, right? The question that I want to ask you, just where you stand right now, what are those areas or aspects of your leadership that you said these are non-negotiable? Like everything else, like if I could just use myself as an example of the work, I got my arms spread wide as I can. Like you can't see all of me on the camera, but you see that my arms are outstretched. So we'll call this the work. This is everything. No way in the world you're going to touch everything in this every day. It may take there may be something within this that you touch today and you may not revisit again until a month or two later. It's just that you're not going to get to every detail of the work every day. That's impossible, right? It's not humanly possible. But I'm not asking you about this. I'm asking you about this. And I'm asking you, what are those non-negotiables? I think we have superintendents watching today. I would say, superintendent, ask your principals, what are your non-negotiables? What are those areas that you just said, this must be done? This can't be put off till tomorrow. When I looked at the totality of school leadership, I only had two. Imagine that. You got with all of this, I only got two non-negotiables. Everything else is on the table. But just two. Let me give you the two. This is me. This is not me imposing these on you. This is me. Non-negotiable number one, instructional leadership. That's it. I said that can't be put on the back burner. That can't be put off till tomorrow. No procrastination around instructional leadership. That has to occur daily. And when I say instructional leadership, and I know, again, those of you that know my work, you know I preach these sermons, right? When I say instructional leadership, I don't mean popping up in a classroom. You know, sometimes we get that part confused. I don't mean popping up in a classroom and you were there and you spent 10, 15 minutes. That's not instructional leadership. Instructional leadership is clinical. Instructional leadership is collegial. So here I'm saying this sustained relationship with staff instructionally. I'm saying that the pre-observation conference matters. I'm saying that the post-observation conference matters. Now, remember I was addressing the rookies a little while ago, the new ones, the newbies. I hear you. I hear you through my computer, man. I hear you all the way in Houston. You saying, I don't have time to do all that. Do you know what it is to lead my school? Of course I know. Of course I know. But the reason you don't have time is because there's some issues with that climate and that culture in that building that are not being addressed. See, sometimes we think we don't have time because we're dealing with discipline and all that kind of stuff, right? No, there's some culture issues in there. that need maximum attention, because you have to be freed up. I went years operating out of what I thought was a good culture, not realizing there was some kinks in that culture that were preventing me from being who I wanted to be. So as the years went on and I figured this out, now do the morning message, close out the message in the morning, walk past the secretary with the same words. I finished the message at 8:30, look at my watch. Her name was Mrs. Kennedy, my head secretary. Mrs. Kennedy, I see you about 1 o'clock. If you need me, just radio me or text me. In other words, I'll be in classrooms till 1 o'clock. I'm not having issues in the school behavior and all that kind of stuff, because we got that down pat. We had to look a lot closer at the culture of the building and determine what's keeping me from being this instructional leader, helping teacher to become phenomenal. See, that's what that was. So now I'm able to fulfill non-negotiable number one. Hey, principals out there watching, superintendent, assistant superintendent. Hey, assistant principal. What's your non-negotiable? I bet you every assistant principal watching aspires to become a principal. Well, if you aspire to become a principal, then you got to be thinking like a principal. Although you've never walked in the principal's shoes full-time, you may have substituted for a principal, but in terms of full-time, you may not have, as that being your title, you may not have walked in that yet. But you see principals, and you got to think as one. What would I do in XYZ situation? What would I have done in ABC situation? How would I have said it? How would I have gone about it? How would I have led it? Right? Or, just all the scenarios. You got to put yourself in that position. But as an assistant principal, you too have to be an instructional leader. Let me talk to the APs for a minute. I noticed some of you probably watch my virtual assistant principal leadership academy on Saturday mornings. So you, if you do watch it, you heard this before. If you haven't watched it or never heard of it, then I'll give you more information later, because you need to be there every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock Central for a whole 55 weeks, right? So, but here's the thing, assistant principal watching. If you're sitting here watching me right now, and you are a full-time disciplinarian, like this is what you do. You're a full-time disciplinarian. I'm saying to you that has to change, right? Let me get my screen back. I did something funny here. Bear with me a second. Where we go? Full screen. I can't even see it. All right, I'll figure it out as I'm talking. You have to make sure. Oh, here we go. You have to make sure that you don't lose sight of the fact that at your core is instructional leadership as well. Not disciplining kids all day. If you find that you are an assistant principal and the bulk of your day, 50%, 60%, 70%, 80%, even 40%. If you find that all that time is spent disciplining students, then I am speaking directly to you in this moment. Or principal, if that is how you are using your assistant principal, then I am speaking directly to you. Or superintendent watching, and you know your principals and assistant principals are operating in that fashion, then I'm speaking directly to you. And I'm saying this. I'll just make a statement as a question, but it's a statement. How are the teachers growing when there is no collegial relationship between that teacher and that assistant principal, outside of that assistant principal running into that classroom during evaluation season, doing a quick observation, writing a quick evaluation, and then having the teacher sign it? That's not instructional leadership. That's just compliance with a date. That's all it is. Compliance with meeting a deadline. That's all it is. It is not the ingredient to student achievement at all. That model does not grow teachers. That model does not make students great. That model just keeps the heat off my back because I met the deadline. Somebody say, ouch. See, I'm saying to you that even as an AP, you have to be an instructional leader. Your leadership has to make teachers better. Your leadership has to make teachers phenomenal, because as they grow, the children have no choice but to soar. So I'm saying all that to say this. I'm looking at the front of the building. Is my school a better school because I lead it? No, not today. Why not? Because non-negotiable number one was not met. I didn't get into a classroom. I didn't talk to a teacher, pre or post. There was nothing about my walk, nothing about my journey, nothing about my swag that was associated with instructional leadership. So thereby, this school is not a better school because I lead it. Not today. Somebody else could have come in here and done this work. But then I said I had a second non-negotiable: student engagement. See, doing a morning announcement, I don't put that in the category of student engagement. Doing a closing announcement, I don't put that in the category of student engagement. Doing a principals meeting, which I did many, because I always led low performing schools, always. The 4 schools I led were always rock bottom. I went in there with the mindset, now watch what we do. See, so a part of that was, I feel I have we all have certain gifts, certain talents. One of mine is to be able to inspire. I knew that. So I said, I got to talk to these kids frequently. I got to give them that fire. I got to give them that energy. So I met with my students frequently, because I got to change the attitude. Some of you know I wrote a book called Closing the Attitude Gap, because that language achievement gap is completely irrelevant to my life and to my work. Zero relevance. My focus is on attitude, closing the attitude gap, the gap between those students who have the will to achieve excellence and those who do not. Not the skill, not the ability, the gap between those students who have the will to achieve excellence and those who do not. I want to tap into your will. In other words, I want to tap into your attitude, because I know that as your attitude transforms, the achievement will follow. I'm convinced of that, because the youngster is born with the capacity of achieving at high levels. But if the attitude doesn't allow it, because of whatever the circumstances that youngster was born into, which are justifiable when that youngster comes to school, seemingly not wanting this, I got to change this. I can't change his condition at home. I can't change the condition in the neighborhood. I don't have any influence over that. But I got this. When you come into the building, I got this. You got that. See, don't lose sight of that. You got that. See, so now, but then I looked at staff, the gap between those educators who have the will to be amazing at their craft and those who do not. Once again, the gap between those educators who have the will to be amazing at their craft and those who do not. Talking about the attitude of the adults in the building. But see, when I say student engagement, all those meetings with kids, grade level meetings with their principal, school-wide meetings with their principal, male-only meetings with their principal, young women-only meeting with their principal. I mean, whatever it was. But that's not the student engagement I'm talking about. I'm talking about the one-on-one. I'm talking about the 2 students and myself, the 5 students walking down the hall and myself, the 10 students cluster of 10 walking to the next class and myself, or me dropping by the cafeteria and sitting at the cafeteria table and engaging them in a conversation. And it doesn't even have to be an academic conversation. We could talk about the game last night. We could talk about your Houston Texans or your Houston Rockets or your Houston Astros. There's so many jokes in all 3 of those, but I'm gonna leave that alone, right? So I could engage them in that. I just want to engage them, see? Or I can take that and turn it into something academic. So I'm measuring myself on to what extent did myself and students converse? That's what I'm saying. Not me holding a microphone, having an impersonal message. That's just me delivering a message. Like I'm doing right now. I don't see any of you. I don't know who's on the other end watching me. I don't know your facial expression. I don't know if you're sitting there like, oh my God, I don't feel like hearing this guy. I don't know what you feeling. Like, you could put it on Twitter and I'll check it when I'm done. Right. So because I check all that stuff. Right. So but see, right now, this is not engagement. Because I see one person, me. I might as well just hold up a mirror and talk to it, right? Because that's all I see. That's not student engagement. That's not student engagement. Student engagement is when it's me and that youngster. We're in the hallway, and I ask some question. What do you think about this? I kept quotes on the walls of the school. When I say quotes, I mean I must have had about 1,000 of them on the wall, right? Because we in Jersey, y'all spread out in terms of the building structure. We go high, right? So 4 stories high. So all 4 floors, just quotes all over the place. So literally anywhere I am in the building, there's a quote to my right, and there's a quote to my left on the wall. Anywhere I am in the building, there's no place that I would be and there's no quote, which includes the stairwells, the cafeteria, the gymnasium, and the boys' bathroom. Because I walk in the boys' bathroom and I start teaching. That's my style. See, so while I'm in there, because like, let's say for example, I hear some talking in the bathroom, like some young men should be hurrying up to get to the next period class, and they taking too long. All right, let me go in there, see what's taking so long. But while I'm in there, I got data on the wall. I got stimuli on the wall. Hey, read this for me right quick, since we in here. Tell me how this quote applies to your life. We in the boys' bathroom. They telling me, all right, that sound good. Let's go on to class. I'll see you later on. Now, see, I'm engaging. Those are my 2 non-negotiables, y'all. Man, I wish I could see you. I wish I could talk to you. What's your non-negotiable? What's that thing you said? Look, I'm not going to get to everything, but this thing, there's no circumventing. This other thing, there's no circumventing. I'm going to do this because this defines my leadership, defines who I am. See? So let's get a little heavier. Let me tell y'all something. We got 159 people on this call. You hit somebody up and tell them, man, Principal Kafele on here like he dropping some stuff this morning. Call them folks up, tell them to hit that Facebook Live so that we can get some more folks that probably need to be on this call this morning. Let's get a little heavier now. So here, let me just real quick go over these pictures. I'm saying here that student engagement, although I don't put this in the category of student engagement, this is typically the 2 on the top. This would be my morning before instruction begins. But best believe as we're dispersing, I'm having conversations. See, I'm having conversations with young people. I'm not just leaving them, right? So there's so much more to say on that screen, but I want to maximize my time this morning. So what I want to do this morning, for the remainder of this presentation, let's consider it to be game film. You know, in the sports world, teams will play a game, like your Texans will play a football game, and then before practicing for the next opponent, they'll go into a room. Could look something like a theater, and it may not, but a room with a screen, and they'll just watch the film of the game. But they won't watch it as if it was you and I watching a game on television. They will break it down by frame. They want to see what worked. And if it worked, how did it work? Why did it work? If it didn't work, why didn't it work? What was the problem? What do we need to tweak? What do we need to adjust? What do we need to improve upon? What do we need to purge? So they're looking at all those things, and that will form the basis for practice for the rest of the week. And then as they're practicing the rest of the week, they will continue to come back to the film room to look at the film, to analyze the film, to break down the film, to dissect the film, to see what is the film disclosing to us? What is it revealing to us about who we were last week? Well, so that those areas where we want to replicate who we were last week, we will, but those areas where we need to improve, we see it in real time. Well, I'm saying to you, in the world of school leadership and district leadership, it works the same way. We don't necessarily need a camera, although it's not a bad thing. You know, everybody has a camera on their phone these days. Most people, 99% of the people anyway. So it's very easy to have someone film you in action. All right. I had those opportunities, and I got to tell you something. When I started seeing myself on film, I started cringing because I was seeing some things I didn't realize about myself. Right. So film maps, film is good, but it's not where I am right now in the presentation. Where I am right now in the presentation is simply a mirror. I'm talking about self-reflection. I'm talking about the amount of time that you will just carve out of your schedule to engage in deep, not daydreaming, but deep self-reflection. Just watching you, analyzing your practice, right? So self-reflection, self-assessment. You want to evaluate you. You don't need your evaluator of record waiting for that date for them to come and tell you of your effectiveness. You can tell yourself, you know, your mirror doesn't lie to you. So you go to your mirror, and your mirror will let you know of your effectiveness, self-reflection, self-assessment toward self-adjustment. You got to change. How you gonna be like today's the 28th? I'm going to assume, if you're serious about self-reflection, that you are not the person professionally you're not quite the person professionally on the 28th that you were on the 27th. You have grown over the past 24 hours. I strive to grow every day. I got to learn something new. I got to know something that I didn't know yesterday. You got to grow. But in your leadership, in your practice, you got to grow. But you're not going to know where to start if you're not engaged in the self-reflection. See, self-reflection, self-assessment toward self-adjustment to ultimately self-improvement. You want to get better each day. It's you know, it's interesting for me because my life these days for the past 10 years now has been as a presenter. You know, I haven't been a principal since 2011. So it's almost 10 years now. And I look at old video of myself every now and then. It's not normal for me to watch video of myself at all, right? I just don't do it. But I engage in the self-reflection because I want to be better at what I do as a presenter, but I don't watch video. But every now and then I'll see a video of myself for like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, you know, whatever it is. Or I've been public speaking for 34 years, so even older. And some of those videos, they're on YouTube. Some of them I deleted. They were so old. But when I see them, I'm like, oh my God, that's who I was. That's how I did that. Right. And it enables me to just go into self-assessment mode and to make sure that I'm doing it the way I feel like I should. Like, I know that there will be a time when we're out of this pandemic and I will go back and look at some of these virtual presentations. I probably will cringe, right? Because this is so awkward. I'm sitting in a chair all day long. This is the first of 3 presentations today. This is how I'm living. So all day long in this chair, every day, Saturdays included, sitting in this chair. If you've ever seen me speak, you know I use the whole room, the stage and the room. This is awkward. This is crazy. So it doesn't allow me to be me. So now let's transfer that to you. What is your film saying? Your past film. And when I say film, I'm talking about your assessment of you, self-assessment, not a movie film. What's it saying of you compared to who you are now? Do you see growth? Do you see change? Do you see development? Or are you the same person you were 3 years ago? See, if you're not growing, your staff's probably not growing, and your students are probably not growing either. See, the growth of your school is hinged on your personal growth as the principal of that building. You have to grow, and your growth has to be daily. So we're talking about here just engaging in that self-reflection, self-assessment every day toward making that self-adjustment and ultimately that self-improvement. Let's get heavy now. I got a question for you. And the question is, why do I lead? Right? Why do I lead? Man, someone might be thinking, that's a pretty easy question to answer. And you know, I've found over the years in doing this work, it's not as easy as it appears. It looks like an easy question to answer. Why do I lead? Well, I lead because, you know, whatever your answer may be. But you know what the reality is? A lot of people, when I ask this question, you know, when I'm in person live, they'll give me this long, drawn out answer. And I'll typically politely say, hold on, Principal, hold on. That sounds more philosophical than it does why. See, your why, we're talking about your purpose for leading, right? So what is your why? What is your purpose? And are you walking in it daily? See, that's crucial, y'all. See, what's your why? When I became a teacher, back in 1988 was when I started as a teacher, 5th grade. I didn't become a teacher because I wanted to be proficient teaching the content areas. That wasn't my thing. I knew I would have to be, but that wasn't the magnet. That wasn't what drew me into it. The reason that I became a teacher was because it was personal. That's number one. It was personal. And usually someone's why is personal. Because my own upbringing and how I strayed far from center for years. I was a statistic for a long time. And then I got it back together. Young Black man, young Black boy, a walking stereotype. Quit school, went back to school, kicked out of a school, doing nothing in school, graduating in 5 years from high school with a 1.5 GPA, an additional year. And the best I did was a 1.5. Then after graduating from high school in 5 years, hit the streets and did the streets for another 5 years. And was a late bloomer going to college, entered undergrad school at the age of 23, came out at 26, summa cum laude, and I haven't looked back, right? So I said, if I graduated summa cum laude and I was at the top of the class, that means there was already something in me. I didn't get smart. There was already something there that I was not aware of. Apparently nobody was aware of except my mother, because she hung in there with me. Right. So I don't know that there's something in me that gives me the qualifications to speak to you this morning. I don't know that. Right. So as I'm in undergrad school and going through self-discovery, which I don't have time to explain what that means, but going through self-discovery, I said, oh, I can ace these tests. I can do this work. And went on and graduated with a 3.9 GPA. Right, had a couple of A minuses. It should have been a 4.0. Right, so here's my point. When I decided to become a teacher, because I didn't go to school for education, I had to take those courses subsequent to becoming a teacher. So when I became a teacher, I said I want to be a teacher because I want to prevent other boys that look like me from making the same mistakes I made. That's the only reason I taught. I said I wanted to be a walking, breathing, living example of what it is to be a Black young man. Because I was going to a school district where everybody was Black in Brooklyn, New York City. I said I want to be an example. I said because the majority of the students are going home to a household where there's no father present. So where's the balance? Where's the one to say this is what men do versus this is not what men do? This is what males do, but men don't necessarily do this. Right? Where was that coming from? Mom trying to be mother and father at the same time. That gets a little difficult when they're about the same height. And that's not to indict everybody, but I'm talking about because there are individual breakthroughs. I'm talking about the masses. It's challenging. So I said, let me go in there and fill that void. That was my why. Now, it didn't stop when I became a principal. It magnified. So when I became a principal, literally 10 years later, I took it to a school level. And for the entire 21 years that I was either in the classroom or leading schools, my why was this young men's development. We called it young men's empowerment. And eventually we folded in young women's empowerment, right? So that was my why. Everything else was secondary. So I'm asking you, what's your why? See, for that to be my why, I walked in that. I slept that. I woke up to that. So I ate that. See, that was my reason for existing as an educator. It's a narrow walk. That's why I keep holding my hands like this. It's a narrow walk. Your why is not this. Oh, I'm leading the school because blah, 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 blah. Oh yeah, and blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. And let me add this, blah, 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 blah. Come on, stop it. That's not your why. That's just some philosophical something that sounds good to these people in this room. I'm saying, what's your why? That's narrow. That's like this. It's specific. Hey, Principal Kafele, what's your why? My why is to build men out of these boys, period. What else you want to talk about? See, you see how that works, y'all? That's what I mean by the why. See, it's like, I don't want to call it finite because then we get into a growth mindset conversation. It's definite. That's what it is, right? It's clear. So I'm asking you, what's your why? You do this for what? Because when we go back to the title, is my school a better school because I lead it? Remember that language I told you that I despise, that I don't really use, achievement gap? Do you know who's at the lowest end of the achievement gap in America? Do you know? That same population, Black boys. I'm just not blaming them for it at all. One iota. I ain't blaming them. That's for a broader conversation for me to tell you where that blame lies, and I don't want to just kind of broach it slightly and then leave it alone, because then folks will be like, man, I don't like how you did that. If I'm gonna go into that, then I got to go fully into it. So I am not gonna blame them, but I said I want to be a solution. Is my school a better school because I lead it? By the time we finish with them young men, I walk into a school, the school I showed you on the film, on the frame. My test scores was something like, in mathematics, 29% proficient. My language arts were about 31% proficient. And we put a focus on them young men, and subsequently the young lady, because my young lady said, man, why you keep bringing these boys to the auditorium and having these talks with these guest speakers, man? We need some of that too. So then we brought them in the fold. 4 years later, test scores, math, 100% proficient. Language arts, 100% proficient. What'd you do? We shifted their attitudes. How'd you do it? Well, there's a lot of ways, but for now, what's most relevant, the principal was walking in his why, which spread throughout the building. That became our brand. We are building men. We are building women. We are taking these youngsters and transforming them into strong, productive young men and young women. That's what we're doing. And the achievement followed. Hey, leader out there in that Houston area. I heard there was some folks in Dallas there too. How y'all like them Cowboys? All right, let me leave that alone. So what I'm saying to you, I'm up here and I'm in giant territory. I had to throw that at you, right? But see, here's the thing. I'm asking you. So why do you lead? What's your why? See, that's what I'm asking you, right? So I know it's one of them numbers decreased by one. What was that? One of them Dallas fans got mad at me. Let me keep going. So secondly, I tweaked this question. I said, why do I lead? But now I'm saying, but why do I need to lead? I'm asking you to look within yourself. And I'm asking you, but why do you see, notice I italicized the I, why do you have a need to lead? You got to be clear on that. Because see, we're talking about you here. Before I'm saying why, just what's your purpose? But now I'm talking, see, See, no, the first question is talking about your purpose. The second question is talking about you. Why you? And why the need to do so? But then I tweak it one more time. Why do I need to lead the way that I lead? I'm talking about your style of leadership now. I'm talking about philosophically the way that you go about it. Why do you do it that way? You know, I wear, not only do I wear a speaker's hat, but I wear a consultant's hat. And I love when I wear that hat, because that's a day that I go to a school when school is open, not a school day where school is closed and it's a PD day. This is a day where everybody's in their normal day, and I get to be consultant and just produce data based on what I see. And I'm looking primarily, when I'm there as a consultant, my primary role is to work with the principal or the assistant principals. And one of the things I'm looking at is the way that this person leads, the leadership style, right? And I'm asking myself, why does he lead this way? Why does she lead this way? Like what is the thought process behind leading the way that he or she is leading? So it takes me to, I say, is my leadership driven by a leadership philosophy that has culminated into a leadership style, which is now habitual and can be articulated? That's a lot. Let's break this down a little bit, because I got more to kind of associate with it, but let me just talk about this for a hot second. I'm saying here that as a leader, leadership is not just walking into a building and leading. You know, there's a basketball expression that says, the coaches say to players, they say, let the game come to you, right? So you respond to the game as it comes to you. So you respond, you react to it. And that may work in basketball, but in the world of school leadership, I say that's a no-no. I can't let the game come to me. I got to go at it because I want to change it. I want it to work according to how I see it relative to who I am as leader, right? You know, my whole leadership vision. So I'm saying here, and I would also fold into that the school mission and the school vision. So here I'm saying, okay, so therefore, as leader, philosophically, you are leading the school in this fashion. For what reason? You are exhibiting leadership that, in terms of what we see, where you're exhibiting this leadership this way. For what reason? Why do you lead the way that you lead? Have you thought about that? Or are you just in the building and you're kind of just going and going and going because you're a leader? So see, so for example, if my intent, matter of fact, a better word than intent would be if my obsession is to be instructional leader, well, then the building has to work in a way that I can be that person. So philosophically, I'm saying I want to be instructional leader because I want to position myself to ensure that every teacher is maximizing their potential. So therefore, I got to lead in a way that directly impacts the climate of the building, meaning its mood, the culture of the building, meaning its lifestyle, so that I can ultimately be that leader that I need to be. And now, so philosophically, being that instructional leader that through the leadership has impacted the culture and the climate of the building, so that now I can walk within this particular style, because I'm saying the leadership philosophy culminates into a particular leadership style. So you're one style of leadership, which is now habitual. This is who you are, and you can explain it, you can articulate it. So I'm asking you rhetorically out there, what's your leadership philosophy as it relates to you? I don't mean leadership philosophy in terms of you just giving your philosophy of what leadership is. I'm talking about your leadership philosophy based on your leadership. What is it? Can you articulate it? And has whatever those words are, have they culminated into a particular style of leadership? Such as, I need to go backwards for a second. Let's see. Yeah, this is where I want to be. So this here, this slide. make no mistake about it. This slide is speaking to my leadership philosophy. This was a low performing school. I had a need to do a morning convocation every day, right? Other schools, it was over the PA system. You know, it just varied with the school, the size of the school, the logistics of the school, all that. So I had a need to do morning convocation because I needed to fire them up. I needed them to have a built-in motivational speaker. You know, people spend good money to go hear a motivational message, right? So I said, I need to be that built-in motivational speaker. So 180 days, every day to start the school day, I'm giving them some fire. So philosophically, because I knew that there were so many youngsters who just had no hope. I knew that. I knew there were so many youngsters that life was tough, life was difficult, life was challenging, and those kids could not envision, many of them could not envision themselves maximizing their potential, doing big things with their lives. So I said, I got to give them something. I got to give them something that they could hold on to for the day. I don't need them to hold it for life, for the day, because then tomorrow I got a new one for you. How about you? I don't mean how about you in terms of opening your day this way, although I would strongly suggest it if you're a school that's not where you want it to be, and if you feel you've got something to say beyond, you know, have a great day, work hard. If you've really got something that's going to touch their heart, then I would certainly use that. But I'm saying that to say more so that philosophically, that's who I was. That's what I became. But it didn't start as a principal. What you see in these four pictures, I guess I need to explain the bottom two, but I will in a second. What you see in these pictures is who I was as a teacher. Same guy, just had a larger audience. But the one on the bottom right, those are all boys. That's part of the young men's empowerment. We put them boys in shirt and tie, slack shoes and a belt. We said, I said, Mom, we're gonna make your sons into men, but I need your son to look like he's the principal. You know, I dress like this for virtual presentations, but you know, but for being in the school leading, it's shirt and tie for me. I'm old school. I didn't wear school paraphernalia. I mean, I don't condemn it. I don't criticize it. That's just not who I was. I never wore school paraphernalia in my life at school. I wore it on Saturday, but I never wore it during the school day. During the school day, I'm strictly shirt and tie. I'm strictly suit, right? And that's what I was modeling for my boys. So now they came in. I said, this is a high school. I said, I want anybody that sees my kids to not be sure who the principal is. Is it me or is it one of them? That's what we were building. So the picture on the left is just some of my guys ran for president, for student council, and that was the day that was the day of the campaign speeches, and it was 5 Black boys. So I said, let's get this victory picture, because even though only one of you is going to win, in my eyes, you're all winners, because the world has written off a whole lot of guys that look like you, but look at you. You're all on the honor roll. You're all accepted to a university, and you're all running for student council president. See, that contradicts every stereotype in America about Black boys. I said, so let's take this victory pose, victory picture. So that's what, but see, all of that again, it ties into what I talk about in terms of leadership, philosophy, and style, right? Let me keep moving. So here I'm saying your leadership, philosophy, and style, they're rooted in these 7 areas. Number 1, they're rooted in your leadership identity. Your leadership identity is ask the question, who am I as the leader of my school? In other words, we all have multiple identities. I have an identity at home in this house, which is very different from, say, my identity when I'm outside, or my identity when I'm in the mall, or my identity when I'm at a sporting event, or my identity when I'm in the school, or my identity when I'm visiting family. You know, it changes. It's like, or my identity as a presenter. Like I noticed, you know, I always notice myself on these cameras. I don't see myself when I'm speaking live, but when I'm doing these virtuals, I'm seeing things that I don't see when I'm on stage. And one of the things that I see is the excessive usage of my hands, right? I don't see that in person. So I'm not conscious of it. I know I do it, that I know, but I don't realize how often I do it, right? So So, but when I'm talking to, say, my wife and my children, right? I don't talk like this, right? And my voice inflection doesn't even sound like this. And it's not like I said, okay, go into speaker mode. That's not conscious. It's just that I'm in speaker mode. So this is what comes out, right? So as school leader, you and I assume a certain identity that may be different from your identity with your biological children or the children that you're raising. So I'm asking you, I'm saying to you, your leadership philosophy and style are rooted in your leadership identity. So I'm asking, who am I as leader of the school? What is your leadership identity? And I was very conscious of my own identity. In other words, I control what my students saw. I was very deliberate about that. I said, I wear, you and I as principal wear multiple hats. We wear countless hats. Countless number of hats. We can't even give it a number. It's just so many hats that we wear, and often they're simultaneous. So I said, but the only hat that I think matters to my students in terms of their progress, I only need them to be aware of one hat that I wear, just one. The others, it's not important. I said, I need them to be conscious of the hat that reads motivator across the front. I want to be someone that when they see me, they feel inspired, they feel motivated. That I wanted that to be my brand in the eyes of my students. That man, Mr. Kafele, he makes me feel that I could achieve things that I never felt I could achieve before. He makes me feel like I can soar with the best of them. I wanted to be that guy. I didn't want them to see me as my identity to be, oh, hey, he'll suspend you. You better straighten up when you see him. Right? I don't want to be that. I wanted to be, when they see me, man, my principal gets me fired up. Hey, folks out there in the Houston area, I'm asking you, what's your leadership identity? When those youngsters see you, when they think of you, what are they seeing and thinking of? What is it? What does it correlate with? What is your identity in their eyes? Have you crafted that? Have you molded that? Have you even given that thought? Or are you just in there just kind of going? Because we know that there are many that just kind of go. See, I gave that forethought. I said, man, I need these kids to see me as a motivator, man. I want them to think about me. I'm going to maintain my authority as a principal. That line will always be there, that I am their principal. I'm the principal of the building. But I wanted to go beyond that. I wanted to be a source of inspiration, a source of encouragement, a source of motivation, right? So I position myself that way. My leadership identity as it relates to my students. Staff was something a little bit different, right? But as it related to my students, let me keep it moving. Time is racing. Number 2, your leadership philosophy and style are rooted in your leadership presence, right? So here I'm saying, what do I represent as the leader of my school? What do you represent as the leader of your school? So closely associated with the identity, the conversation about presence. Identity is your totality, including the words you articulate. Your presence is you with your mouth shut. So here's your presence. You walk into a room and here's you. I'm asking you, when you walk into a room, you walk into a building, you walk into wherever students and staff are, what language is your presence speaking to your students? What words is your presence articulating to your students? Now, within being a motivator, I put a heavy duty emphasis on the word excellence, that I wanted these young people striving for excellence, that I wanted staff striving for excellence. And as leader, I'm striving for excellence, not perfection, but excellence. So I said, I just need, when I walk into a room, that my presence is representing excellence. But let's put it on you now. What does your presence represent? But let's go deeper with this. Are you in control of your presence? Let that marinate for a second, because your presence might contradict who you think you are. Let me word it differently. Your presence is your leadership representative. Y'all didn't hear that one. I got to say that one again. Your presence is your leadership representative. In other words, your presence represents your essence. Do you hear me? Your presence represents your essence. But imagine if your presence is conveying the opposite of who you think you are. Who you are is not who you say you are. Who you are is what you're perceived to be. So if your students, your staff, your parents, your community perceive you as A, but you are actually, but you think you are B, well, you are actually A then. You are who they perceive you to be, because that's who they're going to respond to, not this thing you've created within yourself that you said, I'm this, I'm that, but that's not what they see. They're going to respond to what they see. So it goes back to the question, are you in control of your presence? Because your presence is the representative of your essence. It's like I told you a few minutes ago, I said, when I'm speaking to the school to close the day, I said, remember, you are representing North Tech. You are representing your principal. You are representing your teachers, etc. So they become the representative. So when the public sees them and they acting a fool, tearing up stuff, right? Well, then that's saying to the public, that's what they producing at North Tech. Because they represent the school. I can't come to school and say, oh, we're doing this and that and this and that. But the people are like, no. We see what you're producing. We saw it. We see your students. The students become the representative of the essence. So in the public, in the mind of the public, our school is what our students are exhibiting. I hope that makes sense to you. So your leadership presence, it matters. Let me keep it moving. And that minute hand is moving. Your leadership philosophy and style are rooted in your leadership impact. Oh, man. Which asks the question, what is my influence as the leader of my school? That question is asking if you matter. That question is asking if your presence makes a difference. That question is asking, what is the difference that your presence makes? What influence do you have over achievement? What influence does your leadership have over the climate of the school? What influence does your leadership have over the culture of the building? What impact does your leadership make on the lives of your children? See, I'm suggesting to you strongly that as you consider your leadership philosophy and style, you got to consider, well, what's my identity as leader? What does my presence mean in that building, in my leadership capacity? What is my impact as leader? Number 4, my leadership mission. What is my what as the leader of the school? Now, somebody said, what does he mean? What is my what? What does that mean? Let me show you. In order for it to make sense, let me go the short way because of time. I need to show you number 5. Purpose. What is my why as the leader of the school? Now we can make it make sense. Your why is your purpose. So we talked earlier about the why. I talked to you about my why, the young men, my why, right? But now this is going, let's go backwards to the mission. My what? I'm saying you can have a why, but what is that why, that word why? What is it associated with, right? What is this thing you're trying to change? So in other words, if I say my why is to elevate the young men, my what, meaning the mission, why is that important? The what is statistically, data-wise, there are issues. I'm looking at Black male achievement. I'm looking at Black male suspension. Of course, I'm looking at equity. Of course, I'm looking at systemic racism. Of course, I'm looking at that. But I'm looking at, but in this conversation, I'm looking at the end result, right? I threw that in because I don't want anybody to say, man, he hasn't considered how it got that way. No, I understand, right? But I'm looking at the end result. The end result is what we got. So now I'm looking at the suspension data. I'm looking at expulsion data. I'm looking at incarceration data. I'm looking at, all that kind of data. I said, that's what my mission is. I want to change that. My purpose. Why? See. So they go hand in glove. My what is the actual thing. My why, this is the reason that I got to do it. See, so they go hand in glove. So think about your leadership mission, whatever it may be, doesn't have to be mine. And then your leadership purpose, your why. Moving on, we're almost done. Leadership vision, your where. What is my where as the leader of my school? What that means is not your school mission, that's a school vision. That's a different conversation, but your leadership vision. Where will your school be a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now? Because of your leadership. See, the leadership, the school vision is a different question. Where will your school be in 5 years? This is saying, where will your school be because you're there? See the difference? But it's also, but looked upon differently, where will you be as a leader in 1 year, 3 year, 5 years in terms of your leadership growth and development? Right? So certainly we don't expect, wherever you stand right now on October 28, 2020, I don't expect you to be the same leader on October 28, 2021. I expect that you have grown significantly, exponentially. But I want you to measure that. I want you to forecast that. I want you to turn that into a goal. So you can quantify where you will be, who you will be. You have vision, you see it a year from now. But we don't have to go a year, a week from now, a month from now, a marking period from now. Your leadership vision for yourself. And then we bring it to the last one. Your leadership philosophy and style are rooted in your leadership value. What is my worth as the leader of my school? Said differently, does this school need you? Are you the best possible option? This doesn't mean you comparing yourself to other leaders. It's just asking you, based on how you see yourself, how you define your leadership, are you the best option for these youngsters? In other words, when we think about the trajectory of young people soaring to the highest of heights, is the probability at its greatest because you're there? Or is there somewhere inside of you that you're thinking, someone else, my most challenged youngsters, someone else may be able to take them to a level that I can't do it? Then the question becomes, and why are you still staying there? So see, you have to be able to bring that confidence that I bring value to this school. I have worth that I bring to this school. And because I'm here, even the youngsters that need me most, they will experience success because I am in the building. That might be one of them ouch questions, especially when I couched it with, are you the best option for the kid that needs you the most? So what is my worth as the leader of my school? So I'm right there at the finish line just about. I don't think that I want to start something new at this juncture as far as, well, let me just say this one more thing. The correlation between your leadership philosophy and style and what students experience in your classrooms can never be ignored, because your leadership philosophy and style, based on what we discussed previous to this slide, it all factors into what happens in classrooms. So your leadership philosophy and style have to be consistent with a teacher performing at a high level in the classroom. So when a visitor walks into one of your classrooms, such as me, your thumbprint is literally all over the room. You see you in the teacher. You see your leadership in the students, right? You see your leadership on the walls, the configuration of the desk. That room is about that collegial relationship that you have with that teacher. That teacher still has his or her independence, individuality, but because of that relationship, your thumbprint is there. But is your thumbprint there in association with this philosophy and style that are conducive to high academic performance. As I close out, I'll say this to you in relationship to that and everything I've said. When I walk into a school, I always say, ideally for me, I want to be able to see the leadership without seeing the leader. Let me say that again. I want to be able to see the leadership without necessarily seeing the leader. So I can walk to your school and your essence is all over the building, who you are. And I see continuity and consistency in classrooms because of who you are, you and your team. So I want to be able to see the leadership without seeing the leader. And at that point, I think I'll close, but let me give you my contact information before you guys head on out for the rest of your day. Principalkafele.com. If perhaps you want the slide, then just send me an email, go to my website there and request it. This particular frame here, I see that I gave you the wrong one because where it says Facebook and Twitter Live, 10 o'clock a.m. that Eastern, that's all wrong. It should say 10 o'clock Central. It shouldn't say second Sunday. It's an old slide. It should say every Sunday. I'm sorry, Saturday. Every Saturday, not Sunday. So every Saturday, Facebook and Twitter Live is called Virtual Assistant Principal Leadership Academy. It's applicable to anyone in leadership because a principal has assistant principals. So therefore, it's applicable to the principal. Superintendents and assistant superintendents have assistant principals in their district, so it's applicable to them. So it's every Saturday. You can go to my Facebook page at Principal Kafele and follow me there. You can go to my Virtual Assistant Principal Leadership page on Facebook and follow me there. Or you can go to my Twitter page at Principal Kafele, one word, and follow me there. Or you can go to my YouTube channel, which is not on this old screen, but it's called School Leadership Thoughts. Let me say that again. School Leadership Thoughts. You can go to that channel and you can watch it live there. But every Saturday, for between now and May of 2021, it's 55 consecutive Saturdays, including the Thanksgiving week, Christmas week, and New Year's week. I will be on talking leadership because this assistant principal role is an obsession with me that I want to play my role in transforming. And I might add, since I got you here, it corresponds with this book, my newest book, The Assistant Principal 50. So if you don't have this, everybody on the call, get yourself this copy, The Assistant Principal 50. The Aspiring Principal 50 for those who are assistant principals who want to become assistant principals, or those who are new principals, this is for you, or those who are aspiring administrators, is for you. And then the Principal 50 for the principal, but also aspiring folks. And then lastly, here it is my school a better school because I lead it, right? Is my school a better school because I lead it? Let me get out of this share and turn it back over. But I want to first say to everybody on the call, I appreciate you being here. I thank you so much. Hope my time with you was productive, and I hope to see you guys on Saturday mornings at 10 o'clock Central, 11 o'clock Eastern time. Turn it back over to you, Mr. Mackey.
Thank you so much. Like you said, it wasn't just for principals, it was for all of us. Your leadership discussion transcends industry, so I thank you for that. And we'll make the video available to those that were registered so that they can all benefit from this if they were unable to attend. So again, thank you for attending. We should make this probably an annual tradition. In October, I would think, is a time-fitting period. For those of you that attended, thank you for attending. Be on the lookout for our next speaker series, and we appreciate everybody attending. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.